I originally came up with the idea for the Gala when I was 14, and I was making art out of my mom's basement. I had a lot of space to work, be messy, no rules really, and I started realizing not everyone had access to the same thing, and that's why a lot of young artists were not progressing as much. And so my goal was to come up with a space, kind of like a gym, but for artists where they could come all hours of the day and just work on what they need to work on outside of their house. My name is Roni James.
Cole Kelly.
Andrea Cardenas.
I do painting. I work in both oil and acrylic. I also draw a lot with charcoal and graphite, and I went to school for sculpture, and I work as a tattoo artist.
I'm a silversmith. I do all of the lapidary work as well. I find all of the rocks and gemstones that I make the jewelry out of. I also facet gemstones for wedding style jewelry, fine jewelry, engagement jewelry type things.
I do ceramics, hand build.
Working on it being very nostalgic is a big theme. Definitely memories come up a lot in my work. I actually have a piece behind me that is strictly based on memory. Just thinking of growing up, riding in the car, looking out the windows. We would go to look for deer and turkey and stuff a lot. I had a redneck brother. And I would look out the window across these fields and like picture myself running with them.
I've been finding rocks pretty much since I could chew on them, you know. I was always kind of interested in rock hounding and finding rocks, as most little kids are. My grandpa is a huge rock hound, and he's been an incredible influence in my life and still is. And he would always take us out rock hounding and just looking for whatever we could find out in the desert, and that was always really fun. Second grade, we were doing something to do with geology, and they had my grandpa come into the school and give a presentation, and my grandpa's a goofball, and he brought in these rocks that were candy, and nobody knew that, and he's giving the presentation about rocks, whatever, and he's like, I like rocks so much I could chew on them, you know, and just swallows down one of those, and all his kids are like, wow, that's crazy.
I remember that I started to make ashtrays, and my teacher said, like, you can't do this anymore. You need to make something else. So I make these monsters of barro. This year was really hard for me. Like, I moved here and I have a miscarriage in April, and I didn't make the sculptures before that. And that was the moment when I knew it, that I need to create something bigger. Ceramics transform my emotions in something that is like tangible, you know?
Yeah, I could, honestly, I could tell you exactly where I picked up every single one of these rocks. This stuff is petrified coral, and we find this in the Uinta Basin, kind of near the Bonanza power plant. We found a lot of this growing up, and we have buckets and buckets of it. And yeah, I guess that's kind of nostalgic. It reminds me of a lot of the landscape out there. You don't think there's really, at first glance, not much character or, I don't know, anything interesting. But if you take the time to cut and polish it and do a little bit of research, you can usually find something pretty cool.
This should be like a scary creature, but I didn't want to make it scary. I wanted to make it like with this kind of look that it's happy. And I love this thing that moves. I don't want it like to make them look evil. I wanted to make them happy. Everything and ourselves have this darkness, and it has to be like, I don't know, to acknowledge that and be part of it and make it beautiful because it's there. I don't know, it's part of the things that I've been thinking of the last years. So I think everything's connecting to that.
Yeah, I guess it's more just like I'm the work evolving, I guess, you know? And so like, that's where all artists, I think, have a duty to just keep creating forever.
My first year I worked Wildland Fire, one of my friends told me that everything is interesting if you know enough about it. And so if I'm ever bored with something, like just learn more about it and you're probably gonna find something that's pretty cool. And that holds true with absolutely everything. If you just learn a little bit more about it, you're probably gonna find something that you think's cool.
I love him.